So anything else pulling from the game outside of the game play last night for you as a traveling journalist?
I asked Knobloch this last night, and he kind of no-sold it, or he kind of went in a different direction. I really kind of believe, whether the Oilers have convinced themselves of this or it's an actual thing, that like the experience they had last year changed them dramatically. Like, you watch the way that they played in that game. I thought Stuart Skinner had a great line last night when we were talking the googly eye thing about the Stanley Cup. Like that, they talked all about that on media day. You don't know if it's real or not until you actually see it in practice. And then like they come out and they immediately put a goal on the board. They're playing poised. Yeah, the Panthers have their pushback. They're always going to have their pushback. But for the what is it now, like fourth consecutive game, they just like own the third period. And you don't do that in the playoffs all the time. And that's to see that maturation of killer instinct, knowing how to try to close out opponents, and just being unrattled. Like, the Panthers are really good at scoring a bunch of goals very quickly. We talked about this yesterday. Yep. And they did it again last night. They scored 2 goals within like under 4 minutes. And other teams, when they do that, I talk with my hands a lot. Other teams, when they do that, they fold. They get freaked out, and then all of a sudden it's 4-1.
It's intimidating,
right? And the Oilers did a really good job of not allowing it to get out of hand, and then keeping the game close. And then when they needed it, Connor made a pass and Leon scored a goal. Oh, I felt so bad for Nosek last night, though, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we said if one guy's getting bag skate today, maybe Pomo takes him down to the...
Yeah, that was tough to watch. I mean, obviously, we love the outcome, but yeah, when it happens and you go, that guy.
Well, I said too, it's
fourth liner.
Just
it's a movable object, and the other thing, but it's who blinks first, maybe in these cases, and that's why they determine the series.
No, that's
a mental
fair.
error and a fatigue, maybe based error, will cost
completely
you.
fair. And it's the only penalty they're calling in overtime. Like
that's
the tragedy of it. Like you could murder a guy and they're not going to call anything. But if you put the puck over the glass, oh my god! But yeah, once that happened, I'm just like, it's probably done. Like you can only keep that power play at bay for so long. And again, the Panthers entered the game with the #1 penalty kill in the playoffs, and then bing bang boom, it's over.
It was the one that you let in.
The one that you let in.
Danny T texts in Paris Julie's inbox. I even saw a guy on the TV last night that had a business suit on, but he had an Oilers hat on. That's just amazing. Probably had a late work day and still showed up with someone. You didn't hear this, Dave, but Dustin took Marshall to a game.
Yes.
It was a playoff game, right, Trev? And what round was it or whatever? But he said 2 suits sat beside him, like very expensive kind of secret agent type of suits. Straight out of the
secret agent.
Well, no, but he said that they were kind of like,
swilling a shaken, not stirred martini.
MIB pen and all that.
There was a guy dressed up like Colonel Sanders at the game last night from KFC. I don't know why.
Just because.
Sure.
I mean, why not?
Exactly.
Did you see the Rough Rider jersey?
Yes,
there was a Rough Rider jersey. There's one in every crowd. I love it. Yeah, that was great. But so, I to the game, I guess, and we've been at, and I guess being in stateside and whatever, you cover the league, but let's be honest, Panthers, what do they do? What's the counter here? They've been here. They've done that. They're cool customers.
Yeah.
Not googly-eyed by any means, but like, what's now the messaging, do you think? Knowing Paul Maurice and how he speaks, how does he kind of...
win game 2?
This is just
it's an overtime loss on a power play goal.
Yes.
And maybe the message could be you blew a 3-1 lead.
That's the thing.
I mean,
the
that's
Oilers
probably,
are good at doing now.
Yeah, that's probably the message is like when you have a chance to put down your opponent, you can't like get a little more... And I don't think they really like rested on their laurels. They were on the attack, right? But... They didn't. They gave up a 3-1 lead in game 1, and if they win game 1, it's probably a completely different series than what it's going to turn out to be. But no, I think they'll just roll with what they do in game 2 and be confident about it. I actually thought there was the Marchand line played really well with Lusterainen. Yep. I thought the Bennett line played well offensively, but maybe not so much defensively. And I thought the Barkov line was bad. Like I thought they were extremely ordinary last night, and that is not something. There were times when Barkov took the puck in the attacking zone last night where I'm like, oh, here he goes. He's just gonna hold it and be a hoss. And he had that one chance where he broke to the net on Skinner, and I don't know if Stu made a save or if he couldn't convert the chance, but that was the only time in the game where Barkov was really like present. Yeah, and that was something I didn't expect.
I'd like your take, Greg. We've been kicking around this question earlier with Reed Wilkins about the idea. In a game like, or in the Stanley Cup, have a referee be available to probably a pool reporter to explain a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would ever be the case in hockey? And what do you think the merits of that are?
It won't.
Okay.
It won't because they they will explain it to the teams, and then they'll expect the teams to relay it to the media if they feel like it.
Okay.
That's kind of how it is. Like there's teams that complain to the league every day about calls, right? And then they get an explanation, and then, it's either good or bad. I remember when Vegas had that whole 5-minute major thing against San Jose that one year, and they complained to the league, and then they relayed what the league said to them. Like it happens sometimes, but the reason I've been told from the league why they don't allow writers access to the refs is they really want to keep these guys anonymous. They already get too much scrutiny. They don't like the idea of putting them out there, and now you see a face with the name or words with the name, and the more they talk, the more they might say something that will be treated as inherently biased,
counterproductive to the brand and all of that stuff.
You've never read an interview with a referee while they're in the league, and there's a reason for that. Is because they want to keep these guys as faceless and nameless as possible, because the minute whoever, somebody says, I grew up a Leafs fan, and it's like, oh God.
Well, that's done.
And Greg, as the resident old guy here, I remember when the refs had the names on the back of the jerseys.
Van Hellemond.
Like I can watch an NHL game now, and I'm not an insider, don't cover the league. I don't know. They're sort of generic, and maybe that's the goal.
Yeah, outside of McCauley and the way he announces penalties. Yeah. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a Devils fan, and my first year of being a cognizant hockey fan was 1988, the year that Don Koharski slipped and fell, and then Sean Feld gets suspended and called him a fat pig, and you knew him, you knew Andy Van Hellemond, you knew Kerry Fraser, you knew all these guys, and it was great because you could chant their names, and most of them fit next to Sucks. And it was great. It was great being a fan and being able to let yourself be known. I've had that conversation with Dave Jackson, my colleague at ESPN, about I probably at some point said you sucked in a chant. And I hope you don't hold it against me.
Well, I'm sure he would understand. I mean, that's kind of comes with the gig. ESPN's Greg Wyshynski in studio. You're getting a lot of love here, actually, and a lot of people cozying up to the fact that Greg was blocked by Eric Francis endears us to him, makes up for his American showing through on yesterday's hit. We have a couple of others.
Can you revisit that, or do you not want to go there?
I got an argument with a doctor online. That's how I.
Yeah, Dr. Eric Francis. Dr. Eric Francis said that Rupe Hintz looked like he was healthy and good to go, insinuating and nodding to the conspiracy theory that he was faking his injury for effect. Okay. And then he didn't play at all. And then after the season, it was announced he had a broken foot. And so again, I don't want to, if he has a medical degree, he's clearly put in the time that I haven't to learn his craft. But I have to disagree with the diagnosis of Dr. Francis again, that I do believe that it was a real injury, and it did keep him out of, the third period of one game and the entirety of another game. So, I mean, again, I just read WebMD. I don't know much about medicine, but I think Eric might have been off on his diagnosis there. And then he blocked me on Twitter.
Well, as you do.
It's because he's a big baby.
Mike from Calgary says, I heard Greg say yesterday he rode a small donkey halfway to Edmonton that died just outside of Saskatoon. Rest in peace, Eric Francis. That's a long play there.
That's
also,
that's
Spency 5 cents in the nasty chat. Please tell Wish about Rockin' Robins across the road. I was talking about that breakfast joint by the massage parlor and the wheat store. They have a good, so I hear, breakfast special.
I have to, so I am staying in a hotel within a close proximity of Rockin' Robins, and I have to admit that when I drove past it for the first time and saw the sign outside, I am like, what is this? What is this a front for? There's no way that this is actually like a breakfast place. Like, what is inside? Yeah. What sort of weapons cache is behind these doors that they don't want anyone to see, and who is running it, and which gang is responsible for it? But I'll take your advice. I mean, it sounds pretty good.
Have yourself a plate. Are you checking out? Do you have any I know that you're here, you're working. It's a series. You're fast. You're here. Then you go back to you do the milk run to Fort Lauderdale or whatever. But do you get a chance to kind of you pop it to a watering hole or anything?
What is the name of the beer? Maybe what's the name of the beer place that does the deep dish pizza?
Campio.
Campio. So that's a writer's haunt when we come up here. Like all the national guys are here. Like they've got good beer. Yeah. The pizza's really on point. I had the McDavid. Yep. That was a really tasty pizza. And so I drank and wrote there last time I was here, and then me and a bunch of the writers went there for dinner the other night. So that's one haunt. The other haunt for all the writers, if you want to go and harass some of your favorite hockey writers, the Sherlock Holmes, of course, a few blocks away from the arena. Yes. That is a classic sports writer haunt when we come to town.
Our own Tommy Gazzola, he pays rent at Kelly's as well.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of people who went there the other night
DVD
too.
and the gang.
Yeah. Oh wait, I've been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because I went with DVD, and like, of course, he's also someone who's got his own.
Yeah.
It's like Norm from Cheers at that place.
Oh yeah.
Okay, as you're flying the ESPN banner here, how is this series and this matchup playing, as we say to our friends down south?
With the Pacers and Thunder set to go tonight, game one. Right?
I mean, is it regional? Like Florida's invested, or maybe they're not. Because
you and I talked earlier that if you're looking to bring in somebody, like, this is hockey that I mean, this is dazzling to the eye. This isn't no neutral. So, but yeah, does it translate, I guess, and break through the sheet?
I hope so. I don't know. I mean, you got to remember that. So, for the ratings part of it, which you'll probably hear a lot about, the entire series is on cable in the U.S. It's on TNT. It's on Turner. So it's not on broadcast. So when you read big numbers for hockey games, it's typically because the games are on ABC in the U.S. and that's why they get a big number. So the numbers for this series are probably going to be pretty small because they're on cable. It's not Turner does a great job. It's not on them. It's not on the matchup. It's because of the function of audience size for one place, audience size for another. As far as how we're covering it, I mean, I think there's a lot of intrigue in whether McDavid can win. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that, one of the things that ESPN has stressed when we got the rights back is we want to put the stars out there. Like, we want to put the focus on these guys. And McDavid's certainly been one of them. So the idea that his chase of a cup as the hook is one thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, it is hard to sell a rematch. And it's hard to sell a rematch in game one when you've seen what game 7 looks like. Mm-hmm. And so there's definitely interest, and there's definitely people that hockey fans that are stoked for this clash of the Titans. I mean, it's a heavyweight fight. You look over at the NBA right now and you have a series where people are praying the rosary that the Pacers win one game, and I think here it's kind of like, if it doesn't go at least 6, it's a disappointment. So I think there's a lot of intrigue about the strength of the teams. We had a lot of fun with the series last year. And of course, like, the McDavid of it all, and whether he can, get his ring. I keep on saying, like, it's such a lazy, morning radio trope of, like, the legacy of a player winning a championship and what does it mean? And, like, no one's going to all of a sudden think that Connor McDavid is Mike Gartner if he doesn't win a ring, right? Like, he's Connor McDavid. But that being said, I mean, there is a difference between Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Well, they're thinking of raising Mitch Marner's number, though, and retaring it in Toronto. I don't know if you saw that. I mean, that's wild.
But it is the thing that separates.
Yes, that's...
Yeah, the very good from the very great, or without great.
And in our sport, it's important. I mean, he could win a gold medal depending on the American goaltending. That's great for him. And then that's great. And you can have all these accolades and have all these awards and everything else. But it's the same thing as when Ovechkin won his cup. My reaction was, thank God. Like, he's probably going to break Gretzky's record one day. And when he does, and he goes into the Hall of Fame, we're not going to have the "but he never won a ring like Sid did" kind of thing. If Connor wins, then he's got one, like McKinnon has one, like Eichel has one, and it really kind of, like, takes that nonsense off the table. And we can just, like, celebrate him as the hockey god that he is.
Took a while, though, as some would say.
I mean, it's like crazy.
There are fans here. When Skinner gets past the cup, Stewart, not Jeff. Could have done it. The King series wouldn't have gone that far. We could have wrapped that up sooner.
Connor gives it to Skinner. Brown to Stu.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But no, you're right, and it is. I mean, it's funny to think that he's old now. Like, he's gotten up there.
Yeah.
I still think of him as such a kid, but he's been at it for 10 years, and he's going to be a UFA soon, and or have UFA status soon if he doesn't resign. And then just to think about how long he's been at it and trying to do this. I mean, there were those early years where they had to they were still building, and they were still building towards something. And those are kind of like the lost McDavid years. And then of course he finally starts contending, and it's, as he said, a few kicks at the can, and now this is the latest one.
Yeah, a couple steps going, maybe a few side steps along the way. Not due to him. I mean, that's management and everything else. Whatever
the
you
mix,
argue,
the coaches, it's been a lot.
They've tried to get that combination, and it seems to be right. Somebody also suggesting, Greg, that Wish needs to come back in September for his SD. That is like our ESPY. We do SD awards.
Oh, brilliant.
We rent out a theater here in town.
You rent out a theater?
We dress up like a Montreal Canadiens game, and we give out awards for really the most obscure areas. So I think you'd be Right now, you're alone in the category of in-studio guests. You probably have a good crowd. Yes. From the States. Yeah,
Yes.
you would be the first one.
I would win the award for American in-studio guest for 2025.
You could join us over the screen. Like, we could have you there, and you could accept your
like
award.
when you put up the nominees are just a picture of me.
Yeah,
and no one else.
And you have the trophy. Like,
Yeah,
we've
already.
nailed it. Of course.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Oh, if you want to do this remotely and like send me the trophy, I'll totally do like a video. A video acceptance speech.
We had Jonathan Torrens do his. I think he was a live guest last year too on
That's
Tom's
right.
patio.
I don't know if this award show's on the up and up if we're already determining who won. Like
It's
this
not
far
on
out
the up
from
and
it.
up.
Not
No,
much around here is on
we
the
get
up
the
and up.
trophies made at Rock and
It
Robbins.
feels very much like award shows that tell Taylor Swift they'll give her a lifetime achievement award just to get her to show up.
An adamant carbon rod is in the running for a variety of categories. We got to leave it there, man. I wish this is great. I could have you in.
Yeah,
You should cover for Dusty when he's away on his Canadian football league. No offense, Dave.
Jesus, man.
Well, I just
right here.
It's a team of people. We could have you in on all days.
I'm right here, Aaron.
Dave's gonna jump out the window when we're done.
Yeah.
Look, I have to go to the West Edmonton Mall and get a external keyboard for my laptop so I can type the letters MUJ and the number 7 again. By the way, the funniest thing was I got locked out of my computer last night for putting in the wrong password over and over again because there's a 7 in my password and I didn't realize that key didn't work. It was a really great time. Writing, baby.
You're having
Journalism.
one. You're having one. Thanks so much again.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And
It was
stick
great
around.
to be here.
We got a few gifts for you as well in here.
Parting gifts.
Look, we'll play them out here, Trev, and be back with the wrap here. There we go.